Oh, okay, so you have to read this thing.
Oh, I've got a legal note. I do have a quick legal note.
You gotta milk this cow.
Yes, I have a legal note.
Do you have a legal note again?
Oh, I do.
honey?
Wow, another one.
Two of them.
I have two legal notes.
Ginny denied any conflict of interest between her activism and her husband's work on the Supreme Court.
Well, she doesn't talk to him at night.
That's my legal notes. But let me say this very quickly. Ginny Thomas has denied any conflict of interest between her activism and her husband's work.
You got a
legal note.
legal
I have
note.
a legal note. Trump denied Esper's claims about wanting to shoot protesters. I have a legal note. Simon Lviv denies serial fraud and said he would proceed with a lawsuit for defamation. Congressman Loudermilk has denied any wrongdoing.
You have a legal note.
Roy Moore and Representative Matt Gaetz have denied any wrongdoing.
Uh-oh, here's another one.
Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You
mouth.
let them in and you knew what they were.
We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited. We apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
My bad.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the cackling hens on The View, who in 2022 had to issue retraction after retraction after retraction, apology after apology after apology, because they tend to have a habit of saying very reckless things about people and groups and organizations that they disagree with politically. Like, for example, Whoopi Goldberg, who has been in a whole lot of hot water this year with the reckless comments that she's made. She had to issue a retraction on the claim that Turning Point USA was hosting neo-Nazis, or that neo-Nazis are associated with Turning Point USA. And she issued an apology and a retraction reluctantly, right? You could tell that she really didn't mean it, right? That she really does believe that Turning Point is associated with neo-Nazis, right? But, you know, in order to keep the show from being sued, she had to go up there and to basically take back her claim, right? Another statement that Whoopi made that got her into trouble, she actually got suspended for this, right? Was made earlier in the year, where she made the claim that the Holocaust was not racial. Now, this is a big deal, okay, as it offended a whole lot of Jewish people. You know, you can't really say, you know, controversial things about the Holocaust, right? That tends to get you in trouble. Whoopi did that, and she actually got suspended for a couple weeks, I believe. And then she issued an apology talking about how she stands with Jewish people and yada, 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 right? However, Whoopi, now that, you know, they're on break and, you know, she's not doing the show right now, she is off camera. She's basically kind of walking back that apology and doubling down on her claim that the Holocaust wasn't racial, going as far as to call it white on white violence. So here we are, another example of how you have these mainstream liberal media personalities issuing these fake apologies they don't actually really mean. And Whoopi is just dumb enough to basically go on the record of walking back that apology and doubling down on a claim that got her in trouble when she said it on The View. So I want to read about this because who knows, Whoopi could end up in some hot water over this, right? She could possibly lose her job for coming back and saying this again. I mean, we saw what happened to Kanye and Kyrie Irving, right? People don't play around when it comes to these type of comments. So let's read about this. After causing an uproar the first time around, comedian and TV host Whoopi Goldberg again claimed the Holocaust was not racial in nature, but was an example of white on white violence. Both Nazis and Jews are white people. Goldberg was suspended from her job co-hosting The View for 2 weeks earlier this year over similar remarks during one episode. During an interview, the Sunday Times over the weekend, Goldberg lamented the outcry her comments generated back then and defended herself, saying the claim that Jews were not the victims of racism during the Holocaust was factually correct. Quote, remember who they were killing first. They were not killing racial. They were killing physical. They were killing people they considered to be mentally defective. And then they made this decision, she said. When the interviewer countered Nazis did not view the Jews as white people, but rather as a subhuman race, Goldberg responded by saying, yes, but that's the killer, isn't it? Quote, the oppressor is telling you what you are. She continued, why are you believing them? They're Nazis. Why believe what they're saying? Quote, it doesn't change the fact that you could not tell a Jew on a street, she said. I'm not even going to touch that last quote there. I'm not even going to comment on it.
And joining me now from Washington, D.C. to break this down is Yuval David, filmmaker, actor, and director of the End Jew Hatred movement. Yuval, this is not the first time that Whoopi Goldberg has claimed that the Holocaust is not connected to race, but just why is she pushing this again? Why is it back in the spotlight?
I mean, I find it very troubling, especially because I know Whoopi. We have mutual friends. And this is somebody who really is a national treasure who's defined so much of American pop culture. The fact that she doubled down on her incorrect and misinformed perspective on the Holocaust is really upsetting. She was asked to step down from The View for 2 weeks or so when she made her last comments. And now, once again, she made the comments again. She claims that we must not follow our oppressor's narrative, but we must follow our own. There is great power in that. The problem is she's blurring facts. It completely was about race. Jews, not only by the Nazis, but by so many white supremacists and black supremacists, and throughout European history and Arab history, Jews have been considered a separate race. When you look at the Ancestry.com or 23andMe and genetic studies, they show that there are Jewish genetics. So maybe we are a race. We're not only a religion. We're not only a culture and ethnicity, we are a people. There's a peoplehood, there's a nationality. And I think that saying that it's a white on white issue during the Holocaust is completely misinformed, because it was a racial attack on Jews as a Jewish people.
But I will comment on this. I think that we're getting caught up in a little bit of semantics here, right? I mean, I think obviously, clearly, I think Judaism is not a race, it's a religion. However, the way Hitler characterized and viewed races or groups of people, it was deeper than just, you know, skin color, right? And he definitely characterized Jews as a race, as a inferior race, just as he did other groups of people in Nazi Germany as well. And therefore, you know, whether or not you believe that, you know, white European Jews are a different race than, you know, Nazis, I think that to me is kind of relevant to the fact that that is the way he looked at it, right? That's the way that he viewed it. Okay. So I think what Whoopi is saying here is that, well, technically they're not two different races. Well, I mean, again, depends on what you want to define as race. Okay. It again depends on what your definition of race is, but Hitler definitely viewed it as racial, or he had a different definition of race than Whoopi, obviously, right? So I mean, I think that's where she's kind of getting caught up here, but I don't understand why even come out here and to try to double down on these comments after apologizing, because if you really feel that way, you shouldn't apologize in the first place. You should have just stuck with what you were saying, and if you get canceled, then you just get canceled. I mean, I don't understand these people who are sitting on millions and millions of dollars, right? Being like, you know, I care about, you know, keeping my job or whatever, right? I think Whoopi's net worth is probably at least, let's see here. Let's see. Whoopi Goldberg net worth. Obviously, these things aren't super accurate, but I mean, she got a $60 million net worth, right? She can put all her money, okay? Even, let's say even 10% of it, right? You can put 10% of it, $6 million to $10 million in some average, you know, dividend paying mutual fund, get 4 or 5% a year and be living fine, right? You can be living just fine, right? You can just literally live forever off of the dividends, interest, or the appreciation of your assets. I don't understand the purpose of apologizing for something that you don't actually really, you know, feel sorry about. I really don't understand it. I don't get it, especially when you're that rich. Now, I get it if you're trying to get that rich, right? If you're still on the way, you're like, you know, I need to make sure I walk the tightrope, make my money, right? And then once you make your money, you can do what you want. Again, I don't understand people who've already made their money. Like $60 million, like, you're good. Right? I mean, Kyrie Irving obviously believes that, right? He is, you know, he's paid. Okay. He's probably sitting on hundreds of millions and he's just like, I'm going to say what I want. right? I am not going to take the vaccine. And I respect that because he already made his money. Now, again, I get people who haven't made their money that decided, hey, you know what? I need to capitulate because I'm trying to get there. I get it. Okay. If Whoopi was worth like 10 million, I would get it, right? I would understand. Not when you're worth 60 million. Assuming that number is actually accurate, that is. We don't really know if she's actually worth that much, but if she's worth that much, I don't really understand this. Quote, you could find me, you couldn't find them. That was the point I was making. She said before going on to suggest that the outrage had been disproportionate, but you would have thought that I'd taken a big old stinky dump on the table, but naked. Yeah, so apparently, according to Whoopi Goldberg, if you got the same skin color, right, then apparently you're the same race, okay? Apparently she's never seen, like, you know, white Arabs, right? Apparently, if you have the same skin color, then that means you're the same race, according to Whoopi Goldberg, okay? It was about who could obviously be identified and who obviously couldn't be identified. In an episode of The View in January, Goldberg said, quote, the Holocaust isn't about race, but was an example of man's inhumanity to man. As Breitbart News reported, she then turned to her cohorts and called on them to be truthful about the Holocaust and admit that Jews and Nazis are two white groups of people. Again, I don't understand why she's so stuck on the fact that, okay, well, they're white, right? I don't understand. Is she trying to make a point that, hey, this is white on white violence, right? This is what this is. This is white on white violence. Is she trying to make that point? What point are you trying to make? Why be so stuck on this? I don't really get it. I don't understand. Goldberg, who changed her name to sound Jewish despite having no Jewish ancestry, later issued an on-air apology stating words matter and that she stands with the Jewish people. Apparently not. Shortly after the scandal broke, however, she appeared on Stephen Colbert's The Late Show and seemed to walk back her apology. Goldberg told Colbert, quote, the Nazis lied. They had issues with ethnicity, not with race, because most of the Nazis were white people and most of the people they were tackling were white people. So to me, I'm thinking, how can you say it's about race if you're fighting each other? So it's all really began because I said, quote, how will we explain to children what happened in Nazi Germany? I said, this isn't racial. This is about white on white. And everybody said, no, 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 it was racial. And so that's what this all came from. Goldberg's choice to double down on the claim, both with Colbert and in the more recent Sunday Times interview, suggests her apology was insincere. Of course it was insincere. And I think that Whoopi here would be the same person to say that black people, you know, can't be racist towards each other, right? Just because you're black, okay? But I don't think that's true. I think, you know, people can be racist towards each other, even if they have the same skin color, okay? I don't think that having the same skin color excludes you from being racist towards somebody else. But hey, you know, I mean, Whoopi, I just feel like you shouldn't apologize in the first place. This is how you really felt, right? You should have took your cancellation like a man, right? If you really did not mean those comments. There's no need to come out now and to double down on the comments after the apology. But we'll see. I mean, will she get punished? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, maybe she will be able to, I don't know, get away with it because she's not standing on The View, right? Maybe they won't say anything about it. They'll sweep it on the rug. It is, you know, Christmas holiday. So a lot of people off work. This will be something that'll be swept under the rug. The media won't talk about it too much. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.